Welcome to Alex Sass Show. So on one hand, they're forcing the behavior with all this transgender and let's, transition your children into things other than whatever they're supposed to be. On the other hand, we have a problem with all of this Muslim population that's being migrated into the West, specifically into the United States and Canada, who by definition are very conservative. Who are very traditional, and now they are actually confronting and conflicting with all of this LGBTQ to SL plus whatever movement. And now there's a conflict. And obviously they want us to be divide and conquer and bicker with each other, but it's in a real life issue, And the interesting part, the silent majority of the Western world, specifically United States and Canada, is what it is. It's silent. And in a way, it is an enemy of the masses just to be silent and not confronting anything. It's like that frog thrown into pot with cold water. You slowly turn up the boil, and that's what happened here with all the social issues that we've been changing into something different throughout times, like Yuri Bezmenov told us. But now it's coming to a peak. And, some people say it's leading to the civil war. Some people saying it's really destruction from what really is going on. But nevertheless, it is the destruction of the West. And, we're going to show a lot of the videos regarding that, specifically how the Muslim people, immigrants, come in here and teaching Americans what traditional values is about and why they came here in the first place and how to defend your country, how to be a true American. Odd, but stay tuned to see more. Good day, brothers and sisters. Thank you for tuning in to Alex Sass Show here at the Glen Zone with Glenn Herring. And we have a special guest today. Happy June-teenth, everyone. Whatever that holiday is, we're going to go straight into the holiday. But before we start, as per usual, I will remind you. Usually I remind you to press all those buttons and all that stuff. Yeah, don't forget to press the subscribe buttons, like buttons, and share buttons. Share our show as we're growing. And we are growing with your help, because you love our show so much and we'll love you back. And that's why we're doing the show. We're doing it for you. We're not doing it for ourselves. Yeah, we're doing it for ourselves too. Who are you kidding? We'll love doing it. And obviously you can tell because we're good at it. But another thing I want you to always remember, that things like Building 7, Epstein didn't kill himself. Canadian fires didn't start themselves. And, as we're aware here, as we notice, that Nova Scotia police thwart arson attacks, and we've seen some other arson attacks started by firefighters themselves. The LGBTQ members in in Alberta, right? And the women members, firefighters, they started it. The 19-year-old kid started the fires, and now Nova Scotia, and now we're aware of this. And also, I want you to remember there's a war going on your children, right? So articles like this that you see in the newspaper, where kids are cute, but they are not really eco-friendly. And then you have this guy, Justin Trudeau, dismisses parental rights as far right. Prime Minister targets New Brunswick Premier over policy of informing parents about their children changing genders.
Oof, it's getting tricky.
Yeah, it's getting tricky. So without further ado, let me introduce... Well, obviously, everybody knows Glenn. Glenn, does that make your blood boil, Glenn?
Everything makes the G-Man's blood boil, but want to welcome everybody today to the show. We add comedy to the sad reality of things to help make discernment more fun for you. The more you're able to discern and pick up for yourself, the better choices you could make in the future. And today, I'm in the studio with two big guys. I got Big Alex and Big Rome here.
Rome.
Yes, sir.
Okay, disclosure, Rome is an amazing friend of mine. We go way back, right? Almost 30 years at this point. Days of Sun Youth.
That's right.
Basketball. And Rome is I will introduce them as the Rasta barber because that's, we do have a conflict. He is my barber and he's amazing. And we'll talk more about, we have an interview with him coming up in a few days. Please tune in. He's amazing, dude. We're going to actually share a lot of the stuff that we talk about here on the show. And you heard me talk about this in the previous 2 shows, how we talk about modern day slavery. We proclaim freedom, freedom, freedom here in Western world, specifically in North America, and we had things like bread and circuses, sports, and me and Rome participated in this thing, and we played NCAA college basketball, and we have a lot to talk about that experience and tell you what our experience was and how we feel about this. But Rome, it is the June-teenth celebration, supposedly something to do with Black culture, African American culture. What is it? Can you explain to our listeners what is it?
Oh, could I explain it? How could I explain it? I'm learning it myself. I think it's a new phenomenon, and just like it fits in this show right now with all these topics we're addressing. It seems to me like it's just another distraction and something to take away from what really matters. But happy Juneteenth.
Glenn, do you know what Juneteenth is?
Yeah, it's being used as another way to divide people up. The more they're divided, the easier it is for the elites to conquer. And as you could see, it's happening everywhere. They use so many different straights, gays against the extreme gay or transgenders, rich versus poor, male versus female, or feminist versus the misogynist. It doesn't end, but it ends when you realize who's doing it and for what purpose.
Glenn, well, what the Oxford's dictionary's definition of Juneteenth is. I mean, probably our listeners are curious to know what that is too. Holiday celebration and celebrated on June 19th, right? Hence Juneteenth, to commemorate the emancipation of enslaved people in the U.S. The holiday was first celebrated in Texas, where on that date in 1865, in the aftermath of Civil War, enslaved people were declared free under the term of 1862 Emancipation Proclamation. So they're referring to them people. I mean, with Chinese to be considered, I have a Chinese friend, and she said, okay, Rom, putting you on the spot. And she's like, well, Chinese people build this country too. We never talk about them being enslaved. When they're referring to emancipation here, and the reason why they use people and not necessarily African Americans, is that because they're trying to be not culturally appropriate? I don't know what they're what they're doing with this definition.
I guess we want to take the blame off and the finger away from what was really done, and just spread it across the board and say, what, everybody did it, and there was other slaves too. So we just ended slavery as a whole. So it's not really like a holiday that belongs to you. It's for everybody.
That's a good point. And actually, the point, I'm glad you brought it up. And there's a reason why you're in the show. And exactly, it's bringing us back to this to idea that the illusion of the fact that either all of us are free, or some of us are free, or none of us. Well, technically, none of us are free, and we'll prove this point throughout this show and throughout all episodes. But the funny thing is, you are free by nature. Your natural right as a man, your free will, is a God's given right. It's a universal law. This has nothing to do with the government. The government does not grant you your freedom. The government subscribes you to your birth certificate, your passport, your culture, and your tax ID, your social security, your driver's license, and all this other stuff. But that's not your God's given right. Your God's given right is to make as you will, your free choice. You have other things that associate with how to manage that free choice, but that's nothing to do with people. And we'll talk more in detail about. But we live in such a world where right is left, left is right, black is white, night is day. And I often quote Isaiah here. And I'm going to read you a quote from Isaiah chapter 5, verses 20-21. Woe to those who call evil good and good evil, who put darkness for the light and light for the darkness, who put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Though to those who are wise in their own eyes and shrewd in their own sight. Right? That's deep. How do you feel about, okay, Rom, put you on the spot again. Like,
Ready, I was made for this.
Me and Glenn always talk about how the higher power has been taken away from the society, specifically God. So people obey to authority of man, right? So the man is the infallible one, then and then you appoint certain people that dictate you how to live. And me and Glenn know that the destruction of the world specifically happens if you destroy greater values, and then the destruction of the man happens. How do you feel about that?
I agree, and I think we got to be aware because it's definitely in motion.
Well, Glenn, did you hear about this June-teenth celebration? I believe it happened in Texas, right? Since we focusing on June-teenth, and it is associated with with the Texas.
Yeah, but champ, whenever you have a large amount of people together and supposed to be celebrating, there's also some hallucinants involved, like drugs, alcohol. Things get a little out of hand, and then the guns start coming out, the knives. That happens all over North America, and it happens on many different occasions, weddings, and so that's.
But that happened in Chicago. In Chicago, okay, Rome, what do you know about Chicago? The South Side specifically, the south of the Roosevelt Boulevard.
Great city, great city, great city.
But it is like a murder capital of United States, isn't it?
Chicago, they pop off. No questions over there.
And the strange thing is they have amongst the highest gun control laws in the whole country.
Well, the whole thing where it happened, there was a gun control environment. There was a gun-free zone where the gun went off. So again, like those rules that were being ridiculed, like we're always like, well, you cannot stop a gun, a bullet, with some stupid like, oh, don't shoot. This is a gun-free zone. When did it stop anybody? This is a perfect example where those ridiculous things don't work. What is the solution to that? The solution is to bring God into a picture. I believe into it's like it's not a solution like, oh, you can change this overnight. No, you have to reprogram. You have to raise your children the proper way from the beginning. Now at this point, it'll probably going to take generations to actually rebuild the society now, to bring moral core values to the desk. It's nothing to do with like a Second Amendment or First Amendment by itself, but it's overall upbringing. It's overall culture of bringing family back is an important issue. When we talk about single parent homes, right, Glenn, and single mother homes, they like account for like 90% of all the people in jail.
Yeah, well, this all started from the pussification of the male. How you take down a foreign country or an empire is you target the men first. So they've succeeded in weakening a lot of men. Even weak men don't even know that they're weak. And you were talking about bringing God back in the picture. This is the reason why God is out of the picture, because men have screwed up and the women are looking for real men. That's all. They want a real man in their lives, somebody who can take care of things and bring home the money, keep the family together, for protecting them, providing for, and presiding with. But all that's been lost. They've done a real good job of increasing individualism, narcissism.
Yeah.
And that this always happens in a society where everything has been too easy for too long. So you have people say, oh, I don't need anybody. I can do it all by myself. And now what this is leading to is perpetual loneliness. And it's increasing the rates at which people have anxiety, or they're taking themselves out because they're depressed. So when the men get back in being men, they put a little bit of masculinity back into the male species. Then under God, everything just happens more by nature. It's not forced.
No.
Okay? This has been forced upon people, and they don't know where it's coming from. So they're taking the stress and anxiety out on each other.
Yeah.
It's like the analogy I use. You put rats in a big box, and you have a lot of food and water and things for them to do. They all get along, but then you start diminishing the amount of food and water, and every hour you give the box a little electric shock. So now the rat feels discomfort, right? And they don't know where it's coming from. So by nature, they blame the other rat. This is what they did to break up the families and to eradicate moral values. Now you have all this transgender, this stupid stuff, these shootings, people killing each other with a knife. You have a lot of people overdosing and just constant misery in a first world country where everything's been so easy for so long. You don't know what you have, champ, until you don't have it anymore.
Golden Rent by Glenn, and as you can tell, his blood is boiling a bit right now, but it's a good boil. It's just
That's right.
I'm gonna let you, Rome is a guest. I'm gonna let you run with this news since you're black, and I'm gonna put you on the spot because we can't do black news because it's a cultural appropriation.
I am black. You cannot change. It is what it is.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, brothers and sisters. We are all together in this. There's no difference. It's a joke. We do comedy here.
Yeah, that's what they try to do. You just said it, right? They try and divide everybody up by their color, their nationality, their language, their religious belief. There's one race on this planet. It's called the human race.
That's it.
And we're all brothers and sisters together.
Yeah.
When we realize this, we empower ourselves. We take the power back from the elites. Yeah. So there's no more top-down control because of bottom-up relinquishing their power.
Excellent. So, Rome, did you see this news?
I'm seeing it now.
So the producer Suge Knight, gangster rap producer Suge Knight, shows support for Donald Trump. Free my Trump. I don't know if I can say this still, even though it's a free country. But the idea is famed gangster rap producer. Do you know what's in jail for, Rome?
I believe he's in jail for attempted murder or something like that.
No, he killed somebody. 30 years, manslaughter.
He's pretty good at attempting it.
Well, there was all those. I think he, apparently he's been accused of many different things, but this time he just killed somebody. He crashed his car into two men during production of the movie Straight Outta Compton, killing Terry Carter. So no, he actually killed somebody. They called it manslaughter, but he got 30 years. And the reason why this story is funny is because, well, first of all, in the picture you see a blackface. What's his name?
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump, but not to be confused with the actual blackface.
But we know that's a definite fake. That's a AI. Trump would never do that. But north of the border here in Canada, no, our fearless leader, he would do it, and he would do it several times. Those pictures are real.
It's okay to make mistakes, Glenn. It's okay to make mistakes.
One after the other, after the other, after the other.
I'm sure Trump is trying to sue somebody right now. Whoever created this picture.
No, it's not. I think he can have fun with it. I think that's okay. The point is, I think the comedy in this is because Trump pardoned Lil Wayne, and he pardoned another co-producer named Michael Harris or Harry O.
Oh, yeah, that was his partner.
That was his
co-founder. Yeah, Harry O.
Tell us more about that. Harry O was co-founder of what?
As I know it, Death Row, the label, was started as we know it by Suge Knight, but it was founded by Harry O, who actually got locked up as Death Row Records started going up, and so
how convenient.
Yeah, exactly. So Harry O's money was involved in this and that in creating the label, but he hasn't gotten credit. And Suge Knight is the face that we all know behind Death Row, but Harry O's definitely involved. And he's been incarcerated since that time. I'm talking NWA days, and Harry O's coming home. Yeah.
So the idea is, I thought that the conspiracy behind that is that Suge Knight set Harry O up. But I don't know the story, and I don't want
comment. I don't like Suge Knight up business. I know about it. I don't like it.
I don't want Suge Knight people, and you can tell us about it if you want, but you don't have to. But okay, let's just segue straight into something that we. Okay, Rome, again, you're here for a reason. And
he's here for several reasons.
So, brothers and sisters, you heard me say this, and it's not a new thing that a fearless leader, Justin True, what's his name?
Justin Trudeau.
Castro. Yeah, he
True gotta go.
he had a idea, and he tells us in any other leaders and politicians, again, it's the forced think, it's the forced behavior, where they try to make you think and compare transgender movement, pride movement specifically, which pride is a sin, right? But let's not talk about in biblical terms, but let's talk about how they're comparing LGBTQ to SL plus alphabet, what are they called? Gay BCDs? Is that what you call them? Right. They try to compare that to the civil movement. People like Rosa Parks, for example, right? The person who refused to sit in the back of the bus and sit up front. And yes, she was a hero of the time, and we need people like her. But this idiocracy with drag queens sexualizing your children and your high school teachers and librarians convincing your children in the time of confusion when they're giving them, we'll get to that. You know, it's being taught in schools.
Absolutely.
Anal sex, masturbation, and all this other stuff. I'll bring it up. It's being taught in school throughout the Western world. And we did it in the last episode. Brothers and sisters, if you didn't see it, Save Your Children episode, it was 2 episodes ago. That's a gold one. You got to tune it in. I mean, we don't just talk out of our backsides. We actually back it up with articles and videos, and you can see it all for yourself. The stuff that we see, the stuff that we research and look into. But Rome, how do you feel about it being compared? Like, here's my take, Rome. Here's my take, Rome. The take is
cringe.
You cringe. But my take on this, Rome, is that civil rights, again, it's your God-given right. That's a universal right. That's a natural role. We're all equal, right? But to choose to be something else, like when you're born a man or woman, is a choice. That's not a right. That's a choice. So you cannot compare those two different movements. So if you're born a man and you choose to be a woman, for example, or you choose to be gay or lesbian or giraffe or pink flamingo or whatever you want to choose to be, that's your choice. But you cannot compare those two. How do you feel about that?
The word choice sums it all up. The fact that you have a choice and you choosing to go in a direction that is being currently persecuted or for what not, or whatever that definition is, it's still your choice. You could get up and decide, you know what, I'm not running in this lane no more because it's too hard, or this is not available for me, or I want to attain these type of levels in the world and it's not feasible for me right now. So you know what, I'm going to hide my identity and choose to go back in the basement until it makes sense, and then I'll come out. Civil rights was about something that nobody had a choice over. There is yet somebody that could decide to say, you know what, I'm not this color no more, or I'm not, you know what I mean? Like it doesn't.
You're more than your color.
Absolutely.
You're a creation of God. And when you think like that, you minimize yourself by the color of your skin or something, or you try to minimize somebody else.
Exactly.
To make yourself feel bigger than what you really are, or more important. That's a false sense of security. And actually, that person who's doing that is very insecure, and they're being exposed.
Absolutely. Now, the attempt to make a correlation between the two movements or the two situations or the two time frames is absolutely ridiculous and should be rejected by everybody.
You know, Champ, I was reading something earlier that makes sense to be put right now. The only thing in history that you learn is that we never learn.
Oh, that's deep. That's deep. All right, you caught me off guard with this one. I had to really ponder and reflect, and my instant reflection brings me back to this article. Champ, this is what you talk about, Glenn, all the time. Transgender advocates appropriate identity of black slaves, right? That's the article from Breitbart, and we're welcome that they put up stuff like this. But here's a fearless Canada partners with Rainbow Road, which is mimics the Underground Road, the civil movement. Remember when they had the Underground Railroads to free up the slaves and blah, 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 throughout to North America, etc.
Right.
So see what they're doing it. So Canada partners with Rainbow Road Agency to seek out 2 LGBTQ plus refugees. That's what you've been saying, Glenn.
Yeah, likes attract. So if these people feel uncomfortable in where their origin is, where they're from, then they want to go to a place where it's acceptable. And now Canada is opening the doors for all these people to immigrate and, to feel like they fit in. I had said that. You're right, Champ. I said it. You're going to see more and more. And that's going to divide the country up even more. But the reason for that is the country is being divided up now because economic hell is coming in this country. The inflation, the interest rates, the price of real estate, the cost of mortgages, the amount of personal debt, it's all coming together. It's going to give you another point of view of the Big Bang Theory. It's going to affect a lot of families.
I believe implosion at this point is inevitable. Because of...
To what level?
Unseen.
Sometimes you have to break down so you can restart again.
There's no other way.
I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it right here. Civil war or not?
I don't think civil war because people are a lot softer than before.
That's right. They're
nobody's going to war
Isn't
right
it? But
now.
what they're trying to provoke with all this Trump thing going on, like in United States.
Maybe in America, we know American people are a little bit tougher. Canadians, we've had it easy for too long because being right beside of America and right under our noses, we don't realize, but things are going to go bad. It's all been engineered and set up that way. And like Rome and I, we both believe, no, civil war, no, Canadians are too much of sissies for that. Oh, they talk a big game. You hear guys
I'm not talking about.
a lot.
I'm not talking about Canada. I'm specifically talking about U.S.
That's a whole different because both sides have guns there.
Yeah,
and,
that's what I'm saying. So that's how they're trying to provoke. And I guess going back to the article we just read, it's not just in Canada that all the sexually disadvantaged minorities are trying to come to the Western world, to the United States specifically. Are they coming for the things?
What did you just call them?
Sexually disadvantaged minorities. Jeez.
Yeah, he's quick, man. Quick. He says it fast.
Wow.
That whole, what is it? Go on from the top. What is it called? That whole community to
LGBT, to S plus, that I can't do it. ABCD, XYZ. I can't do it.
I call it the alphabet Fruit Loop group.
Oh, man.
Narrow it down. It's quick, easy, and it
But
rhymes.
they've been divided too. We're not making fun of the people in this. They are brothers and sisters. It's just what it is like we are being okay. We're going back to we always talk about it now for the past few weeks because it's now it came up to the surface about forced behavior for like now they're targeting. Well, they've been targeting children and families and all that stuff, but now like it's so obvious they don't even hide it. So now they brought at the Dodgers game anti-Catholic drag queens in front of the nearly empty stadium. So people actually start to reject this, but they still, because it's corporately owned, and it's like they still try to push this agenda, even though like people said no, we had enough. And this game was a perfect example of that. But they still went through with it.
Again.
That's what I'm saying. That's why my question was, are they trying to trigger something here? Because people obviously screaming on top of their lungs. And we're going to play a whole bunch of videos about this. But let's just, just summarize this Dodgers game. Glenn, do you know what happened there with the Dodgers game?
Yeah, they came out there saying that this was going to be an event at the pre-Dodgers game. And a lot of people, they protested against it. And so they minimized it, said, okay, we're not going to do it. But they ended up doing it anyways, but at a much smaller amount where a lot of people weren't there. So they entertained a very small crowd, if you want to call that entertainment.
Yeah, you can see actually look, I have a video for the empty stadium. There's nobody on the table.
Wow. They knew this was coming and they left.
No, it didn't just left. There was a
didn't
big
come.
protest.
Yeah,
And beside big protest, okay, brothers and sisters, it's not just big protest. You know, the Americans bringing a lot of, well, powers to be bringing a lot of Latin America into North America, to the northern countries, United States and Canada. Those people traditionally Christian. Right? Who watches baseball? A lot of people, Latin countries play baseball. You know, Dominican Republic, Cuba,
Absolutely.
and all, Honduras, and all that stuff. I guess it's accessible sport for the kids to play and all that stuff, and it's very still popular. So that's a big majority. And also, like, who lives down south in places like California, where LA Dodgers is located? A lot of Latin population, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, I have this video.
We'll fill church after church after church, praying in Latin. The way our forefathers prayed. In nomine Patri et Filio et Spiritus Sancti, Amen. Pater noster, qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum. Advenia regnum tuum. Fiat volantas tua, sicut in cielo.
So basically, they're doing a Father prayer in
Espanol.
in Spanish. Look at the amount of people. That's the people that are protesting in front of the stadium.
Yeah, there's a heck of a lot more people outside the stadium protesting than there are inside the stadium. You know, this whole thing about transgenders and going to the libraries and wanting to have a book sessions with children and everything. That's nothing but an indoctrination of the young mind. They're trying to affect tomorrow. Okay? It's up to the parents to say, no, you have to parent. It's funny, you know, Rome and I, we don't have any children. And yet we know inherently that this is wrong.
Would you buy this comic book for them?
Oh man, see,
No, I'd go buy that one. I mean, go right buy it. Go buy it. You know, next.
So you're right. So it's important for the parents to 100% screen what their children exposed to. So a DC Comics book, I don't know. I don't go to movie theaters anymore. I don't watch movies, even though I work in the movie industry. And things like this are hard to take. Where this this is the forcing behavior thing. It is, but it is specifically attacking younger generations because comic books, well, adults read comic books too. It's not fair, but it's still, comic books still predominantly is for younger generations. And Midnight and Apollo is the same sex superheroes. Glenn, I know what to get you for birthday next time.
Well, then I won't have a birthday. How's that? You see Luciferianism everywhere now. It like as though this is the new norm. No, this is a society in decay. Okay, so it has to be broken down. I believe it's peaked. Personally, I believe it's peaked. This, and the pendulum is starting to get momentum and swing the other way. The only problem with that is a lot of times the pendulum will overswing, and you'll get too much aggression against our mixed up brothers and sisters.
and I agree with you, and I want to make sure that my voice is heard, and I think I speak for everybody here when we say we don't have a problem with nobody and the choices they want to make.
We say that all the time.
I'm here. I'm on the panel. Hey, we love everybody. I have a problem against this push, though. This push is getting heavy.
Well, because the push is not, and you know why you have a problem and why other brothers and sisters have a problem with this is because this push is not targeting you. You have a problem with because this push targeting children. It's sexualizing children.
Weak.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you sexualizing them. You bring a stripper to the library to read a book, or you bring a drag queen.
Crazy. That has never been okay. Yeah, who's protecting them? Who's protecting these children? I honestly feel. I agree with you,
Glenn.
We're reached the point where, you know what, the pendulum is swinging, but you know what? Let's see how hard we could push. Here, make a drag queen read to them. Nobody's realizing that that's far beyond crossing the line. We're just gonna try. You guys ain't gonna do nothing. All right, well here, Man, I got a little nephew. He's in the, what, 4th grade? Sex education.
Be about
Gay
10 years old.
education. 10
Yeah.
years old, he's hearing this.
We're going to get into it in a second. So the idea is like, it's really interesting what you said, see how far they push it. And what you're saying is important too. How silent will this stay? Like we take Plain Gimmick, for example. We were screaming. Some of us were screaming, it's like, this is BS. People, don't listen to this. Stop watch, turn the shit off, turn the TV off. Go outside, breathe some fresh air. I don't know, go hug somebody, eat a dart, whatever it is. Don't listen to this. And a lot of people that were actually aware of this, they still stood home. They did nothing about it. They were silent. So silent majority in this case is an enemy. You know what else is silent majority is? Like, for example, let's subscribe to Disney Channel because they have Star Wars on it. Even though Star Wars propagates else. Well, I don't know if Star Wars. I'm not really, don't know. I'm not up to date with the current Star Wars stuff. But Disney put in a non-binary character into the show, Elemental, and that's what your kids are exposed to. So if you subscribe to shows like Disney, you are part of the silent majority, isn't it, Glenn?
Yeah, you were talking about Star Wars, and after watching Disney and all the entertainment industry as a whole, you're going to go from, I think the next thing from Star Wars is going to be Star Whores.
So speaking about saving children, so there are groups that are saving children, and here's the evidence of that. So there was a big counter protest in front of the LA Dodgers stadium where the Catholics gathered outside, and they were actually blocking the entrance to the Pride Night, so-called Pride Night entrance to Dodger Stadium to protest Pride Night celebration, specifically, for the sake of saving children. But again, that's one group. We talk about, Christians were traditionally conservative. Now that has changed where, a lot of the agenda has been brainwashed there too. And, LGBTQ community propagates throughout some of the Christian denominations, including Catholic Church. But what's interesting is, and we talked about it in the previous show, that, both U.S. and Canada and other Western countries import a lot of Muslim population from Middle East specifically into the Western world, and Muslims, as we know, are very conservative and very far right compared to even most Christians at this point. And now there's a problem. Now they are actually rebelling, and they're rebelling against things like this. So there was a hearing, Glenn, at the one of the school boards because they rejected this, for example, right? That's a picture from the Dodgers, Sisters of Perpetual, whatever they are. Doesn't matter what those things are.
Perpetual mental illness. Yeah.
Right. But I'm just going to play a video from the school board meeting.
Hamtramck may be one of the most diverse cities in the country, but
there's a clown.
Line somewhere. Sure, many
all the world's a
Hamtramck
clown.
residents have fled countries where being
Brothers and sisters, when people try to tell you who they are, listen and look. And she's even talking about, it's a Hamtramck City Council meeting on June 13th, and she's talking about how others fled countries to come here to find refuge, to exercise their freedoms, right? Whatever.
is a death sentence, but nothing says we have to make it comforting and welcoming here. While we can't legally discriminate against LGBTQ people in the United States anymore, the City Council of Hamtramck can say, ew, now, be proud somewhere else.
So even if she has a message, okay, brothers and sisters, even if she has a message, the way it's presented from her, the point that she's trying to make, okay, she's wearing a clown outfit, and she's wearing a jail uniform, like somebody's attacking her rights in some way, that she cannot be parading her sexuality in front of the minors, in front of the kids, in front of the families who disagree with that. And you are a minority for a reason. And I'm not saying that we should prosecute you. Nobody's prosecuted right now. But if we don't want to see as a majority this stuff, you cannot make us do because you want to do it, no matter how neurotic your reactions, neurotic your presentation is at this city council meeting. It's not going to trump sanity. Okay, I'm just gonna fast forward to this throughout this video. This is why her whole point, everything I just said, summarized in this short thing. Watch.
Headlines will read, heroic Hamtramck City Council votes to stay neutral during Pride Month, bans pride flags on all city property, and instead invests in police tasers. Now, this might be a little on the nose for you, and if you don't like this poster, I do have another one. This is obviously we'll have to paint over the rainbow on the mural because that is a little too.
It's not
gay,
really the
but
bad
we
part,
will have the
but
world
it's
in
coming
2
up.
straight miles, so it's a little bit it's covert, so it's not right on the nose. Anyway, thank you so much. I yield the rest of my
Here
time.
it comes.
Thank you.
So, brothers and sisters, if you're listening and you're not watching the show, so whoever was helping her holding up the poster in the back as she was presenting her story, she kissed that person. So I'm assuming it's a partner, girlfriend,
They're gonna
etc.
finish with a bang.
They're going to finish with a bang. But the whole point, it's exactly proves my point. The point is, it is about sexual expression. And we're here screaming, that's okay to recognize that you have a different sexual practice. It's your choice, like Rome said. We never denied it. We never deny you think. We do live in a free country. You want to go be a lesbian? Do practice your thing. More power to nobody can take it away from you. It's your choice. Yeah. Nor God, no devil can do that. But coming here and trying to make a point like that's your right to do that, and also teach my kids that they can't do that. You have no right to do that, and you're a minority in this.
Let's keep the rules for everybody. At the end of the day, that was inappropriate. If it was a man and a woman, whoever it was, in a city council meeting, you just said what you had to say, and that was inappropriate.
Conduct yourself with class.
Yeah.
Etiquette and manners.
Yeah. If a husband and a wife would have finished that and still kissed, it doesn't even, it has no place there. It would have been out of place. And if you look at the video, the poor girl the poor person who was holding the picture, didn't look too comfortable neither. They almost looked like they were forced into that.
Okay, so we're talking about inappropriate behavior. You're right, whoever it takes it. But again, why is it taken to a different level? Because we have people like Riley Gaines, spokespeople that cheering that Texas-bearing moving women from women's sports. Like, so this is attack on women continues, right? And thank God that some sanity prevails, at least in Texas. Former championship swimmer Riley Gaines celebrates the Republican lawmakers in Texas for banning men from women's sports. That's in relation to that Leah Thomas thing too, right? Throughout that was ringing throughout NCAA swimming championships the last few years, and how that was unfair in many different ways, as well as attack on women in terms of having a pre-post surgery. I don't know what this person does. Goes into the locker rooms and changes there, and it's just disgusting. But also, you have stories like this. You have stories of, this is UK, 12-year-olds are being taught about anal sex in school while 9-year-olds are taught to masturbate for homework. The shocking lesson plans used by teachers in UK classrooms. That's being exposed to.
Wow.
So we pulled this up. The same thing was in California. We did this in 2 videos ago. You can watch this. This is happening everywhere. So this corporate push, and we explained to you in the last 2 weeks why it's happening. It's this ESGs and CEIs and all that stuff. All those things were being directed from above by whoever, enforced by, through governments to local governments and, corporately forced, really. This is happening, but they're attacking your children. That's why people are upset. But you're right. Even if it happens with adults, for adults, that's just as obscene. It's just children are innocent in that sense. And parents should have a right to choose where children lose their innocence, I guess. I don't know.
Children's mind is like sponge. They're like sponges at that age. So they know exactly what they're doing. Everything they're doing has been practiced, studied. This is like, they know that by X amount of years, this population should grow exponentially to this amount, because they know that a certain mind is going to take it, but the percentage of the minds that are going to take it and appropriate it is going to grow to this level. So they have a projection already set in place. This is all planned.
Okay, so it's not just planned; it's also executed, and it's sponsored by who? Right? We talked about it. We did the last 2 episodes again. We have World Economic Forums. We have Justin Trudeau's, which is the government's. We have BIS. We have all those organizations. We have the Black Rocks that sort of like they pull in the strings, and we have people above them, the 13 ruling families or whatever. But if you think this is all conspiracy theory and you think this is not true, like if you think those things like Black Lives Matter, they pop up out of nowhere and they're not sponsored or
they're engineered, bought and paid for, all controlled, well thought out, and for the result that they're looking for. Okay. And they throw a lot of money at that.
And who's they in this case is Canadian government. Let's watch this. This is the trans activist, protect trans youth activist. And if you look at her picture right here, doesn't she look deranged?
Yeah. I mean, I'm waiting for you to press play because is there a video? I want to see what she's saying right
here.
You
all might recognize Deana Sherif. She seems to pop up everywhere. Sorry in advance.
Should I call 911? Ex-nurse. You don't have a job as a nurse anymore.
My 3-year-old has more respect for
So she's a professional agitator at those protests, right? Okay. So that you can see this, you can see what she's doing, right?
Makes sense. Provocateur.
But you say like, oh, a paid provocateur. How do you know? I mean, maybe she's just an activist. Okay, so she got caught doing this. Listen to this.
Hi, everybody. Patients will have a conversation with you and not scream with your microphone. It's kind of hard to communicate. Dictate how I want to talk to you through the microphone. So if you want to have a conversation.
She got caught streaming this live.
You know what? For GoFundMe or PayPal for what? Sorry, I missed a bunch of comments. For this organization thing. There was somebody who was collecting, I think it's on our Ottawa Defense Collective site. Joe and I are not. We get paid directly by Trudeau, so we don't have to set up funds. We are government funded.
Brothers and sisters, you heard it here. We are government funded, paid directly by Trudeau.
By Trudeau. And where does he get the money from? By the Canadian taxpayer. This is where your dollars are going towards. And when they don't have enough dollars, they just print more and they create inflation, another hidden tax on the middle class.
Got him.
All right, so okay, I have a few videos to play. So we talked about, remember the Muslim now rejecting and protesting throughout Western world, specifically in U.S. and Canada. So the same meeting that we had those two wonderful lesbian ladies, portraying us how well can they kiss. Here's from the same meeting. This is from the same meeting.
Say something. That flag, the pride flag, you think you guys want to put down my throat? Let me put my Lebanese flag down your throat. Okay? We're not going to sit here and put the Yemeni flag. We're not going to sit here and put any flag. We're just going to put the American flag. That's what we support. I am a Lebanese person and I support the American flag. We are not going to sit here and tolerate you guys coming and say, oh, it's Pride Month. You're gay? No problem. You be gay by yourself. Don't sit here and throw down kids' throats, my throat, or anybody's throat.
It takes a Muslim population to come here from another country to tell Americans how to be American again. That's the what's the word I'm looking for?
Going to be more of the confrontation of extremes, obviously.
Yeah.
This is modern day paganism. This is lust to have more gluttony, greed, alcohol, drugs. That's paganism. The sex. Everything is about sex. Listen, in a nutshell, sex is just how we procreate. We keep the human race going. That's it. That's the intentions of the Creator.
Well, you're bringing up a good point. So that's what's been taken away. That's why the sex has been like they're always sort of trying to pervert everything in a sense. But people don't think that's why the family is being killed too. And that's why sex is used as just a fun tool, because it's not the whole purpose of the procreation, according to God and our plan of salvation, is to bring more of our spirit brothers and sisters into this world. That's the only way they can come in is if we procreate and give birth to children. Like it really is. And so if we do things like this, it actually stops. And that's how the devil works. I mean, let's watch. I have a few more videos on this.
Alhamdulillah, praise be to God. Now I am thankful that God has blessed me with the opportunity to be and live in this wonderful country, where I have the freedom to live my life as I see fit, where I can worship my Creator in peace and tranquility. Unfortunately, many people in our country don't seem to understand this. They don't know, or they don't want to know what it's like to live in.
And again, like we discussed it before, which minority is more important, right? That's what it is. Like the religious minority is no longer valid because you are crazy cookie. But if you want to transition your children, let's go. This is the green light for you, isn't it? It's ridiculous.
Not only is it the green light, here, we'll show you how. Matter of fact, kids, if you want to do this or you think you want to do this and you don't want your parents to know or stop you, call this number. They have those services now, which as a kid, you'll probably do things just to try, just to do stuff. Not even realizing that, it's irreversible.
Or peer pressured.
Yeah, that's it. Like we said in the last show, a lot of the kids will do anything just to stand out amongst their peers. Look at me, I'm getting all the attention. Yeah. I'm getting all these likes. Look, now I'm important. I'm a somebody. Yeah, you're somebody that's being portrayed as higher up, but that's for a reason. They're just using you for their agenda. Yet a child doesn't know that.
Child don't know.
Okay, but the parent should. So therefore, these parents are not very good at what the most important job that they're ever going to be is that of being a parent.
Yeah. Okay, let's, speaking of extremes, you're right. There's an extremes. There's the perfect video of how two extremes are, right? So on the left, you have the Trantifa, some men and women and some other identifiers.
Did you say Trantifa? Did you just say Trantifa?
And on the right side, we have, it's Calgary, by the way. Look at this. This is... we live in a very diverse country. That's the point. We're all people. Let's try to find a way to get along, but without sexualizing each other. And I promise you that if I talk to your children in any way, I'm not going to sexualize them. I also not going to try to bring them to church. I promise you that. But maybe I actually will. I don't know. So this has been an amazing show, brothers and sisters. Thank you, Rome, and thank you, Glenn, for coming to Alex Sass Show, the best show on YouTube, which should be shared everywhere. We're going to close really quick with, you guys want to say something before we go?
I got just a thought to throw out there. What happens if all these gay prides or LGBT parades just get ignored? What happens then?
Well, the point is like when you say it's silent majority in this case, if we ignore it, then we're lost, because that's what we've been doing it for past how many years. We've been ignoring it. It's like what Glenn says, it's the frog being thrown in the cold pot and slowly hit up. But who's not ignoring it? Corporate-driven media, government-sponsored propaganda like Trudeau's addressing on the Capitol Hill or whatever it is. What do they call it, right? He's doing the TV and TikTok appearances saying how proud he is about doing all this pride stuff and all that.
The more we ignore the more they bite, right? The bigger the reach, and the more they
you can't ignore no more. I think we reached the point. Glenn, any last points
today?
Instead of like what we just saw there, the extremes, and they're going at each other. The realization is this is what they're being forced to do, being led to do, fight each other. Meanwhile, the elites get away with everything. So if we blame each other for the discomfort that's going on, then that we don't get together. And so we relinquish our own authority and we just keep giving it upwards. Top-down control through bottom-up conformity. And they're so easy to be controlled and be indoctrinated into this conformist thinking as Canada is beginning to burn. And I don't just mean the fires. That's just part of it.
Oh, biblical fires. All right, brothers and sisters, this has been a good show. And as per usual, we'll love you. We'll love you all. Gay, straight, rainbow, doesn't matter. I mean, even if you're a predator, I pray for you. I pray for you that you come to your senses, that there's some help is coming your way, that you be healed. Just stay away from my children. I will not be as kind to you as I am right now. But I love you still. So do this for me.
Tough love.
I know, tough love. Find help. We're going to close the video with this. We're going to close the show. And brothers and sisters, we'll see you on the next one.
The servants have written their own new rules that contradict freedom and use their army of order-following cowards with badges to punish enough of us effectively, making us their servants. Don't you dare walk across that street in a place we don't like. Don't you dare make certain noises with your mouth that we don't like. Don't you dare try to record public court proceedings. Don't you dare grow a food garden in your own front yard. Don't you dare assemble a protest in a way or place we don't like. Don't you dare travel in a vehicle without using a seatbelt. Don't you dare sell tamales without paying for our permission first. You see where I'm going with this? These are all violations of freedom that you all just think are normal, and they're unacceptable. To a society that thinks that these threats are acceptable, that's a profoundly sick society. And Krishnamurti points out, it's no measure...